Hello, welcome back to another episode of Talking Points with BSDF1. We're here now to discuss some very new late drama that's happened. Just as we were recording our last thing, this has happened. So, boys, there's an influencers, right, in the space that we're in. We can kind of call ourselves influencers, right, because we're trying to our opinions online, this sort of stuff. Now, there's some influencers online that have been getting a lot of traction for some, I don't know, pretty bad takes, pretty rubbish takes, clueless knowledge. I think, Leo, you've heard of them. You know their name, didn't you?
It's Ryan, isn't it?
He's on our podcast. It's
Jokes,
Ryan,
obviously.
everybody.
I believe you're talking about the boys.
Yes, it is. The Pitstop Boys have caught themselves in some controversy recently by having a bunch of Formula 2 drivers on a podcast, I believe, where they're just talking to them like they're a bunch of lads bantering on the room. Some parts of the podcast, I did skim for it, are quite good. You know, they're quite funny, light-hearted and stuff, good for new fans. But there's parts of it when you're like, what are you doing here? You've got professional racing drivers, and I believe, I'm not going to say it's a quote because I don't have it in front of me, I can't see it, but they said to 4 racing drivers that nobody cares about their racing and where they finish. They only care about their what they do off of the track. And I believe I believe they're trying to say that the DTS fans and fans on telly, even though that's who they are, they're DTS fans, and they've admitted that. Do you think that, and this is a big one, because something like that's not good, considering they said it in front of Correa as well, who's just come back to racing properly, and they're like, oh, no one cares, right? Obviously you can put it on, you can push it a little bit too far, we can say, oh yeah, this is what he said, put words in their mouth, right? I watched the clips, I watched the podcast when it happened. The whole vibe's weird, and you could see the drivers are kind of like, yeah, true, yeah, oh yeah, true, ha ha ha. It's like it's like saying to a guitarist, yeah, but no one really cares about the riffs and the chords you play, right? They just care about how good you look. It's like, okay, don't think that's the idea. Trashing people's craft is never it's not a funny meme. I'm gonna throw it out to you boys. We'll start with Leo. What do you think about this drama right now that's happening?
I think the idea the Pitstop Boys had at the start of, you know, going in and because they had no knowledge and then learning throughout, really cool idea. You know, gets fans who are in the same position on side of them because they've got like their fans might be new to Formula 1, so they're learning on some of the things they say. You know, you sort of sit there and be like, you should know that as a Formula 1 podcast, but it is what it is. That podcast, was it last night or 2 nights ago? What we're talking about
last night
is, well, it was disrespectful because turning around to, I think it was Correa, they turned around to and went, before you got here, I'm pretty sure before you got here, we didn't know who you were.
Yeah, but they say this a lot. Like, they've done that before. Like, I've been watching their podcast for a little while. Like, I tried to
watching. You can call it hate watching.
No, genuinely, and I'll give them credit. At the start, somehow they have like Sky level production quality for a YouTube channel that has not that many subscribers, and you can only say fair play to that because it is well done, well lit, all of this kind of stuff. And you think, okay, that's a bar to get to for like even for what we do. But when you sit there and say to the guy who works for Red Bull, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he's obviously worked in the Formula 1 pit lane for a very long time, to not know who Marisha was and where he started is a bit disrespectful to him, at least, because you haven't just gone on Google, typed his name in, done a little bit of research, and just given him the respect he deserves. Like, if you had Martin Brundle on, and you didn't know who he was from being a racing driver in the past, the least you could do is just Google him to see what he's done and what he's achieved. And the same thing for that chap then. Like, But with Korea, it's different because the reach that F2 has compared to what Formula One has is completely different. Like, I'm not going to sit here and bash what was said because I don't watch F2. I couldn't sit here and say I know Correa and what he's actually achieved and what he does, but I enjoy racing. And if I did give F2 the light of day, which I probably should, but I don't, then I need to give that level of respect to him if I was at least talking to him. And it's the same thing that goes with anything in life. If you're going to do anything to a level and promote it, you have to do it with respect and integrity. You can't just sit there and bullshit your way through it, make it up as you go along, because you get caught. And thankfully, that's what I think has happened, because you can't keep getting away with it. You can play dumb to the cameras as much as you want, but all you're doing is fooling your audience and trying to make a pretty penny from it. And they actually have admitted that on that podcast.
Yeah, well, they said they actually enjoy the traveling bit, and all they want to do is the traveling bit. One of them said they could tell you more. I think they said you could tell them more about insurance than you can Formula One. I'm pretty sure that's what one of them said. Sort of like it's a fair point. I mean, I could probably talk about football better than I could talk about Formula One.
It's a shame you're a Tottenham fan, I suppose.
Face, though, isn't it?
But but when you have Formula 2, Formula 1 drivers, Formula 1 personnel on there, and then you openly admit that, you know, you're there for the travel, or you don't know these people, and then say to their face, "Oh, I don't know who you are. I didn't know your name before." Sort of like, you know, you're not just spitting in the face of your guests, but also your fans as well.
And your audience, because some of them won't be their fans.
100%.
Yeah, they're exactly. But their whole the idea they had is good. You know, they joined they got big at the end of last year, and the whole idea of it was a really smart idea. Go on, you're learning about Formula 1 as you go along. That's fair enough. But last night, I don't know. It
just leaves a sour taste in your mouth.
You've been seeing it for a while.
Yeah, 100%.
You've been seeing it for a while with them, where it was learn and grow, and it's just kind of been grow and no learn. And it makes you wonder, are you there for the bag? I heard someone, this is just a tweet on a thread about them, but I heard somebody say that they're not, they wish they had what they had in Formula 1 in football.
Yeah.
And I heard another thing of, because they couldn't cut it in football because there's a lot bigger creators, they came to Formula 1 to get that bag. And I don't want to be throwing shade at people, but it's a story to cover because it's unfolding online as we speak now. More and more people are tweeting about it, getting traction. A lot of people are saying, I used to really like these guys, and they've not done anything. They're just acting, they're acting like they don't know what they're talking about. And part of me, I mean, there's a technique in social media and content creation where you bait people, right? And you bait people in to get more clicks. If I on this podcast was like, oh yeah, Lewis has only won his championships in Mercedes, right? People will comment underneath going, no, he hasn't. It was McLaren. You don't know anything about it. Because people love showing how good them right they are. Leo. That's the thing that I look at. Yeah, there's a technique in that, right? Like to try and get the algorithm likes content, no matter if it's dislikes, likes, hate speech, whatever. The algorithm loves it. Doesn't matter. And the algorithm isn't very clever. It just thinks traction, that must be good. Poof. And the quickest way to get traction is to make people feel better than you are. The person on the screen, they can roast you because of who you are.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's a smart
they're hitting, isn't it?
Tactic. It's a smart tactic. I mean, whether it is a tactic or whether it is their idea, it's a smart idea jumping on that, you know, audience. But I mean, when you get Formula 2 drivers in, and you know, you say to them, "Oh yeah, no one cares." Yeah, no, not just that, but no one cares about your results. People who have worked for this all their life, okay, may have a bit of, you know, they have all this money backing behind it, but they've still worked for it. But no one cares. But they care about the reality.
Let's use the example that they wanted to use, right, with football. If they had, like, let's imagine that they did have some footballer on there at a point. So we're just using their language. If they had, I don't know, someone from the championship, which is almost like the F2 to Formula 1, right? And that's what their focus is on. They're we're going to be nowhere near as disrespectful as they was to the creator. No shot. But to have like the disrespect to someone like that that just wouldn't happen, would it? But I think the thing that I'm noticing online as well, and I will give the shout out to like other content creators, because one thing they do really well is like TikTok content, which we try, and I don't think we do a great job, but we're trying. A lot of the people that are on TikTok that do a great job.
Oh, go check out our TikTok. Check it out.
Check out our TikTok. Actually, Leo, what is the plug for that?
BSDF1 TikTok. I don't know.
Brilliant. Catching L's as per usual. Anyway,
this is how good we are at this.
This is what I wanted to like shout these people out as well, because not by name, but there's people are saying on Twitter, and it's kind of like what is going on at the moment with women trying to be more involved with this like sport, and I think it's good. But what people are saying on Twitter is that if this was two women talking about this and doing it in the way they are, it would just get cancelled immediately. And I don't know if it is just because two blokes are doing it and they can kind of get away with it. I don't know if that rings 100% true, because there's four of us and we're still doing pretty shit. So I don't know. But I still think that there is something to be said.
Little fish, big pond. That's what I say.
But at the same time, just because you don't, if your passion is football or your passion is tennis, do your passionate thing. Don't just I think you are right with saying, what are they trying to achieve? They are trying to achieve the bag, and they saw that the opportunity they saw was Formula One, and they didn't know enough, and they did what Leo had been saying about let's learn as we go, which is a fantastic model to get involved with, because there's so many fans doing exactly the same thing. But to downright turn it around and shit on your fans, and this is what we do, and we know there's good money in it because that's what we've seen, is just disrespectful to even people like us. You know, you got the hardcore fans like the Gatekeeper down below me, and you've got fans that have been long-standing and they know literally the intricacies of the sport, and you've got all the new fans, and it's what's happening. Like everything else in Formula One, it's becoming a massive divide, and these guys are only fueling that fire, and that fire all sits on Reddit and Twitter, unfortunately, where all the scumbos are. And I just it doesn't achieve anything, does it? Like, do what you're passionate. That's what they all tell you, don't you, when you're in school. Do the thing you love.
Yeah, and this is what creates like that gatekeeper title. Like those gatekeepers will jump on that podcast, and that's what they get the views off.
Yeah.
People who want to gatekeep, people want to. So it's a smart model. It's really good. As much as people joke about DTS fans and all that. Like I remember saying it on Twitter. On our Twitter, saying how it's actually it was a good thing, that how Drive Survive is a good thing, even though some of us aren't the biggest fans of it. It's the it's brought fans to the sport, like them two, who are, as Will Buxton said back in that comment in 2022.
Exactly what I was just about to quote there. Good man.
Does bring fans in, but then it also brings that hate in, doesn't it, as well? So
do you think, going on to that Will Buxton tweet from last year, he said that they engage differently, which is how they get the content they get. So when you look back in retrospect and see what they actually had, they weren't these industry giants, right? They didn't break the mold. There were other people. The prime example, who I think has been one of the best content creation people in the F1 space, has been WTF1, but specifically Matt Gallagher, and what he does. And they were making content that didn't exist. That's why Autosport bought them, right? And then that's the WTF1 platform is now basically a glorified news platform. But you look at what they were doing. Why did they not get Ross Brawn to come and do stuff on their podcast that has over 300 episodes, I think?
I don't think they wouldn't have got the same people the Pitstop Boys would have today, because WTF1 has been going for a few years. I remember watching back in like 2017, 18.
2014, I think.
But the question marks have to be
I
asked,
remember watching 17, 18.
How is such a smallish YouTube channel getting Will Buxton, Crofty, and Jensen Button access to people like that so quickly in their careers? That doesn't ring true. And that on that podcast, when they do that, it's interesting because you think, wow, that's quite a big name, smaller YouTube channel. You know, this is what you kind of expect maybe WTF1 to get. Like Matt P1, Tommy, whatever it was, wherever this was, they'd done Charles Leclerc. They had an 8-minute clip. Like that's all they had in like a season. Like these guys are doing that in 2022 and end of last year, start this year. And you think
every week is
a big name.
somehow.
And you think if all you're doing is no research and sympathizing with new fans because you have no knowledge, then why would a name like that want to be involved with something like this? That something doesn't ring true.
Do you reckon? And this is the other thing, because I wouldn't want to bash them because their content isn't bad, right? It's not bad content. How they act sometimes in their content is the thing I think the drama is basically talking about. The biggest thing that I would look at and think as well is, are they sponsor friendly? And other channels, as a prime example, the biggest growth, and this is an interesting one, the biggest Formula One YouTube channel to have the most exponential growth in 2021 and 22 was Rocket Powered Mohawk. Sky Sports aren't going to touch him with a barge pole, even if he is the most subscribed, which he probably will be on his way to becoming one of the most heavily subscribed pure Formula One face cam content channels. They're never going to touch him because he's not sponsor friendly. But the Pitstop Boys, two attractive lads. I'm going to sound like Christian Horner from Drive to Survive now with Lando Norris. But
wait, when are we going to go on holiday with you?
Bit of banter. We're going to go to the tent. You know what we're going to do in the tent, don't you? But
where was this?
Yeah. So
wait. Where was this Horner comment?
It was on Drive to Survive when he talks about.
Oh, I don't watch that. I don't watch that. Sorry, I don't watch that.
Right.
Classic Leo.
Come on, get out of the gate. Come on, close that gate on me. But yeah, so it's like that where they're very sponsor friendly. They definitely have ties and links in an industry somewhere, which is going to get them. They've got nice studio and all this sort of stuff. For their first podcast on YouTube is production level, right? Where we're still using free recording apps and webcams that we spent £20 on and a microphone that I've had for about 10 years. And this is our 20th podcast at this point. But I think, well, this isn't a podcast. This is talking points, getting carried away. But yeah, I do think there's something there. And I want, again, the listeners, the viewers, to comment on what you think about this kind of like evolving drama. Do you think and I don't want to, again, we're not pointing fingers at people, but the drama is about them. So therefore, that's
and it's not even about a jealousy thing, is it? Because we know what we are trying to do. We got together last January to try and do a podcast about something we are all passionate about, us four. Not for the bag, not for this, because there's so much time and effort that goes into this. But to
the bag would be nice.
The bag would be nice.
Though, come on,
let's be honest. No one.
Come on,
Yeah, exactly. Come on, YouTube, get your finger out. But the reason why we started this is to try and get our point of view across, not even to educate new people. We think we're doing something differently, but at the same time, when you do this content, and it worked really well, it looks fantastic, you get all these fantastic guests on, and then a year into it, to completely shit on the sport, completely to shit on people who want to get into the sport, and then to publicise it online for your fans, and maybe fans that aren't interested or don't follow you, or have watched you and gone, I'm not into the sort of play dumb kind of attitude and see if I can learn how to go because I already know what's going on. These people are just going to turn on you. And from what I can see on Twitter and YouTube comments and TikTok, they're all turning on them, and it's not good for them. At the same time, someone did say in the past that, all publicity is good publicity. So they might be sitting there thinking, licking their lips going, this is exactly what we wanted from this podcast, which if that's the case, then fair. But
then their strategy's working.
Yeah. But I doubt it because, that just, if Crofty sees that, for example, he or someone like that who sees this on Twitter and TikTok and whatever, they ain't going to want to go onto this podcast. It's going to get hate from being like a Formula One.
But are the board of directors going to care because it's sponsor friendly? Doesn't matter if people don't like it. Is it sponsor friendly? Yes. Okay. Yeah. Look at that. And that kind of goes back to my Christian Horner thing. I was saying they have got the best setting for a lot of other things, and you think, I always look at when we were at Silverstone last year, we saw Matt Gallagher, we saw all of Quadrant. You know, they're GA, you know, they're in general admin. They're not got these backstage passes. All of the Quadrant members are massively bigger. Like Arav, you've got Niran, you've got Super GT. They are huge in millions of subscribers, but they're just there doing normal stuff. They're bloody
Well, Josh,
bosses,
you also
Lando Norris.
you forgot the biggest one of them all, Andy Moore. He didn't even have VIP or anything or hospitality.
Andy Moore wasn't even in. Like, I couldn't get it. How was he not on the pit wall?
I don't understand.
The
Poor
Rebel.
Andy
I don't
Moore,
get it.
man.
Yeah, give him some credit, dude. He needs it. He needs this. But yeah, no, it's an interesting thing, right? Where are they getting that in? Where are they getting that in? So, commenters, we'd like you to comment below. You know, open up a discussion, conversation about the F1 influencer space, because it is, as a little premise, very quick, 30 seconds. But the reason, like Josh was saying, we did this is we used to leave the gym. Me, Josh, and Ryan would leave the gym, and we would stand in the car park and talk about F1 until the sun went down. And that isn't you could probably watch the old cameras from like 2 or 3 years ago. But we would we'd get to the gym, we wouldn't do anything. Bear in mind, I'm a personal trainer, so I was getting distracted by not actually training. So we're talking about F1. Then we leave the gym, we talk about F1. 2 of our mates that didn't care, they drive off. We're still talking about F1. And then Leo comes in when I start working with Leo up at the gym. I find out Leo loves F1. Nobody wants to work with us because all we do is talk about F1. So I thought, well, here's a perfect place. And that is a bit of a quick 30 seconds on why we do what we do.
But it's just a little bit disheartening, though, because
intro, I say
there's
going to
be
loads.
It's a little bit disheartening, though, isn't it? Because, you know, they do exactly the same as what we do, just on a worse level. Like, we're not very good. And you think that some people aren't going to give... Yeah, some people aren't going to give us a chance now because they think, well, it's another YouTube this and another this and another that. And it's thinking, all you're doing is hurting yourselves and other creators and other people on the platforms that are like trying to do something, trying to not even make a difference, just trying to be there, be present, give an opinion. Yeah, and it's just sad to see, to be honest. It's just, and it's not nice for people that's involved.
Everybody to grow. Everyone should grow. Everyone should put their passion, like you said earlier, the passion should go towards it, and we want to see everybody grow. We want to grow with our passion, and to see people who aren't passionate growing and kind of using other people's passion to bounce off of to then grow. We just hope that that's not the case, and we want everybody to be in this space and, you know, really, really get there. But that is it for talking points. We don't want to throw shade. Like I said, we're just open discussion. We'd love to hear what you guys think as well. Again, I hope you enjoyed another Talking Points episode. There'll be more of these to come. We will see you very soon. Goodbye, everybody.
Jimmy boy.
God, I farted and it actually stinks.